Some of you might remember the 435 Xtreme, the film camera that pushed frame rates way beyond what was normal. That same spirit is alive again in the Alexa 35 Xtreme, except now it's built into a digital flagship that already redefines cinema. The Alexa 35 has earned its place with 17 stops of dynamic range, lifelike skin tones, and color science many call the industry's gold standard. So why build the Xtreme? All right. ARRI didn't set out to change what worked. Instead, they stretched it further, which makes this version less of a replacement and more of a natural next chapter. And today we'll break down its specs, the upgrades, and exactly what ARRI is aiming to do with this camera. Now, what actually changed inside? Well, ARRI didn't redesign the shell, but the internals are much stronger. We're talking about a faster processor, more memory, and a cooling system that's been reworked. That combination is what makes the higher frame rates possible, brings in a new codec, and even lowers power use at the same time. And all of this fits into the same body. That's what we loved most. So if you've already built your rig with cages, handles, or power solutions for the Alexa 35, everything still lines up. No chasing new accessories. That's ARRI being very deliberate about workflow. Now, let's get into the numbers that make people stop scrolling, and the most visible upgrade is in frame rate performance. Where the standard Alexa 35 reached 75 FPS in 4.6K open gate, and this Xtreme, it doubles this to 120 FPS. Step down to 3.8K UHD, and you move from 120 FPS up to 150. And in a brand new 3.8K CinemaScope mode, you can now shoot 240 FPS. For filmmakers who've always wanted proper slow motion in that anamorphic friendly aspect, that's a big deal. But the headline is Super 35mm sensor. It used to max at 120 frames per second. With the Xtreme, you can hit 4.6K videos up to 330 frames per second. And if you enable sensor overdrive, you push all the way to 660. Yes, 660 frames per second on an ARRI. Of course, there's a trade-off. Overdrive drops dynamic range to about 11 stops, and it shifts the base ISO to 1600, but that's expected. Think of it as ARRI giving us a built-in phantom mode for those rare shots where nothing else will do. To handle all of this, ARRI built a brand new codec called ARRI Core. Think of it as sitting right in the middle of ARRIRAW and ProRes. It keeps the flexibility for things like ISO and white balance changes in post, but it cuts file sizes down by about half compared to ARRIRAW. In plain words, that means smaller files, faster backups, and cheaper storage. So this codec isn't just about convenience, it's literally the key that makes the Xtreme possible. ARRI also thought about day-to-day shooting. Take pre-recording. On the old Alexa 35, you had to buy a license to capture a few seconds before you hit record. On the Xtreme, it's standard and expanded. You now get up to 15 seconds in 4.6K OpenGate ARRIRAW, or as much as 31 seconds in ARRI Core. Imagine shooting wildlife, live sports, or a stunt. You don't need to nail the timing. The camera buffers for you. Also, it got add-in dual-band Wi-Fi with mesh support and 10% lower power draw. So, you're looking at smoother days on set. Less stress, less wasted footage. Adapts to almost any shooting situation. It has 5 interchangeable lens mounts, internal filters, and dual scratch mics. So whether you're on a narrative set or shooting action, it's ready. Camera assistants will appreciate the small details, like the body-mounted LBUS connector, a serial port for distance measuring devices, and a hot pluggable viewfinder that doesn't interrupt the workflow. For monitoring, ARRI gives you both the HDR-capable MVF2 viewfinder and the daylight viewable 7-inch CCM1 monitor. Both now respond to touch, and both give you full control of menus and camera functions. Add to that a left-side display, which lets you read status, change settings, or even play back clips without attaching a viewfinder. Perfect for rigs like Steadicam, easy rig, drones, or cranes. On the expansion side, the Xtreme adds integrated modules. The PDM1 provides 7 extra power outputs for accessories, while the AEM1 brings in 2 clean preamp channels for onboard audio along with extra power options. Storage is handled by codec compact drives in 1 or 2 terabytes for ARRIRAW, ProRes, or ARRI Core, while the cost-friendly Compact Drive Express is available if you're sticking with ProRes only. Connectivity also improves with dual 12G SDI outputs, Ethernet, regulated 12V and 24V power, and as mentioned earlier, the upgraded Wi-Fi with dual antennas for stable streaming. So how does the Xtreme fit into the bigger landscape? When you put the Xtreme next to the standard Alexa 35, the image quality is identical. They share the same image pipeline, so if you're mixing cameras on a multicam shoot, the footage matches perfectly. That's huge. Step outside ARRI, and the obvious comparison is the Red V Raptor. Both now push into higher frame rates, but their philosophies diverge. We all know which side most DPs lean toward when skin tones matter. And as for Phantom or FreeFly Ember, they still lead in absolute high speed. But they also come with heavier workflows. The Xtreme is different. It offers a middle ground. You get cinematic color and highlight roll-off, with enough slow motion to cover almost any creative need. Now, the question many of you probably have: what's the cost? A new Alexa 35 Xtreme is priced at the same level as a regular Alexa 35 bundle, around $54,590. But here's the thoughtful part. If you already own an Alexa 35, you don't need to buy a new body. You can send yours in for a full rebuild, and that upgrade runs about $17,300. Not cheap, but ARRI replaces the processor boards, memory, cooling system, and recalibrates everything. By the end, you essentially own an Xtreme, with no performance difference from a factory-fresh unit. That's ARRI being consistent. They've always treated their cameras as investments, not disposable tools. At the end of the day, the Alexa 35 Xtreme doesn't reinvent cinema. It doesn't try to. What it does is expand the toolbox. That balance between power and practicality, between new speed and familiar reliability, that's what makes the Xtreme matter. It's not about chasing specs. It's about opening new creative doors while keeping the foundation steady. So that was all about Alexa 35 Xtreme. Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you found it helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more camera news and reviews.